not what I thought. So to figure out what its prime really was, we have to go back through Fortnite history and start in season 1. Fortnite was basically an experiment thrown together in just a couple of weeks by Epic. They launched it in September 2017, and millions of players would experience greatness. It was a lot of fun, but this wasn't even really a season. Instead, there was a season pass with the first skins in Fortnite. There were a ton of bugs and glitches, and the guns just did way too much damage. But Epic were quickly fixing things, and players remember it fondly. They were communicating every single week and making balance changes and fixes, and the community really appreciated that. And so overall, people really can't dislike this season. It's the beginning of it all, and we see that in the data. I asked people to rate this season out of 10, and it looks like the average score was around an 8.5 out of 10, and quite frankly, I agree with that rating. This season was really short, and we quickly went into winter of 2017 with season 2. This was our first real season. It had a medieval themed battle pass with the Black Knight and of course, new POIs. I bet a lot of people don't even know what the OG map looked like before Tilted Towers, because this is when Fortnite really started getting popular and there were really no complaints. We also got mini shields, boogie bombs, and the 50 versus 50 game mode, which took everyone by surprise. Every little thing they added to the game felt extremely crazy. Something as simple as the silence pistol or even the impulse nades had people going crazy with different clips. Squads were having fun with the new minigun, and when the Valentine's Day update dropped, we all pretended like the Cupid's crossbow was actually useful, even though it was probably one of the worst items they ever added. Getting a win back then felt so amazing, you had to share it to your Snapchat or Instagram, and all your friends were asking you to hop on so you could squad up. So it was no surprise to me when I asked you guys to rate this season out of 10, it got a 9 out of 10. There wasn't much debate. It's actually really cool to see your answers match the season so well, but if a lot of seasons receive a 9 or 10 rating, how will we figure out which one is the best? Well, using all of your answers together, there's a pretty cool final conclusion that I'll go over once I've gone over all the seasons. But get ready, because we're about to enter Fortnite's first prime, season 3. Now we have our first full battle pass. The last one wasn't even 100 tiers. This one is a space theme with astronaut skins and some iconic ones like Rust Lord and the Reaper, aka John Wick. Every game these days have battle passes, but Fortnite was the first ever to do a battle pass on the big stage. Season 3 was amazing. Fortnite went from a huge game to a gigantic game. Ninja became the #1 streamer and was pulling insane viewers, and everyone else who was pretty much playing Fortnite started to blow up. They released more legendary items, the Deagle, the hunting rifle, C4s got added, and of course, the iconic Fortnite llama. This was also when double pumping became massively popular, and some people loved it while some obviously hated it. At this point in time, everyone knew Fortnite was a special game. So special that I was waking up at 6 in the morning to play this game until the sun went down. That's how serious the grind was. And we all had the opportunity to play this game. And it wasn't just an opportunity. It was the most fun all of us have had playing an online game since ever. This was considered the start of Fortnite's first prime. And most of you guys voted this season to receive a 10. And up next, we have personally my favorite season. This is when Fortnite stood out and showed the world that it was ready to be different than all the other games out there. Donald Mustard was working on a story. So when we saw the comet appear in the sky, people started going crazy. It was teasing the start, build up to the first. This was Fortnite Season 4. This is my favorite season because this season just the day before. And at Dusty, we had the new Hop Rocks, which were awesome for movement. And speaking of movement, we also got the jetpack, which made for some legendary clips. And then, of course, our first vehicle. The shopping cart. It wasn't just a bunch of gameplay content. We also got the start of the storyline. Doing weekly quests so you can uncover the secrets of the island and figure out what force was building a rocket on the map. Players were engaged week to week with different Easter eggs, loading screens, and a bunch of crazy quests, including, yes, search ski reels, which is now considered one of the hardest quests to ever exist in a video game. And then one random morning, we woke up to find the Thanos LTM, their first collab ever. With Marvel of all people, and you can transform into Thanos and destroy all the players on the map. When I woke up that morning and I played the Thanos LTM, I knew that I was going to be playing this game for at least the next 10 years, because no other game up until that moment has shown me that they're capable of moving that fast and adding content that quickly. It was just unheard of. And then all of this built up to the legendary rocket launch live event, the first grand live event in gaming history that had millions of people hop on to just watch the rocket launch. And guys, this happened all the way back in 2018, and to this day in 2024, no other game has had a live event that comes even close to the live events of Fortnite. And with this being my favorite season of all time, it's not a surprise that you guys gave this season a strong 10 out of 10, much stronger than season 3's 10. And now we move on to another great season in Fortnite's prime, Fortnite Season 5. Fortnite Season 5 was another pretty iconic battle pass. We had the drift skin. We also got an entire biome with Paradise. We got Lazy Links and the ATKs as our first real vehicle. And when streamers hopped on to get their first win, we had the slow-mo victory royales, which are now a staple in Fortnite. This season, though, showed us a couple of very overpowered weapons. There was a lot of spraying. The drum gun was really strong. The blue silence SMG was better than a Scar. And the P90 before they nerfed it, and they took their time, was the strongest spray weapon in Fortnite history. And there was a ton of more items. And Fortnite also dropped their first ever competitive events in the Summer Skirmish and the Pro-Am. It was awesome to see the community come together around competitive Fortnite. And of course, the Reddit and social media went crazy. The cube, which was Fortnite Season 7. Now, this season is extremely memorable for many people. The nostalgic music, the cozy, chill vibes. There is a lot to like about this season. The first thing I remember were all the creators being taken to Epic HQ to try something new, Fortnite Creative. And obviously we know how big of a deal that has become for Fortnite these days, but there was also a ton of new content with this season. There were planes, a whole new biome, and a great battle pass. There were drift boards, a fan favorite when it comes to vehicles. The new infantry rifle came out, which became my favorite AR of all time. This was an excellent season, but there was also a ton of controversy. Fortnite released the mythic sword right before a huge tournament, and this caused a lot of backlash. We also got the introduction of the boombox, another failed attempt at Epic trying to nerf building, and this was really the beginning of the divide between casual and competitive players. And while people do look back at this season very fondly, if you actually played it, you do know there were a ton of people complaining about the planes and the mythic swords, and that Fortnite was in trouble. That, and there was a very forgettable live event. But overall, I still think the season was really fun. The gameplay was fantastic, and there was a bunch of new additions, and I'm happy to see the perception of the season has healed over time, because you guys gave this one a 10. Even though there's more people giving it a 7 to 9 than the other seasons, it still has a pretty crazy score. Could this be the start of a new prime for Fortnite? Well, let's figure out what's going on in Season 8. This one also has a lot to like. There was a brand new biome with a huge volcano on the map, and it was the start of the World Cup era. Arena came out, we had pirate cannons, the flintlock. We also had the second Avengers collab, which was really well received. And the one controversial item we had were the ballers. But to be honest, other than competitive mode, they were pretty fun, and they did end up getting nerfed. Another big thing was Siphon was in the game, which made things very fast paced, and the action was non-stop until they removed Siphon. Most of you gave this one an 8, but there were also a ton of people who gave it a 9 and 10 as well. And at the end of the season, we got the Unvaulting live event, which led us into season 9. It was
Ven a Verizon hoy con tu factura de T-Mobile o AT&T y te damos una mejor oferta.
a futuristic theme with new POIs like Mega Mall and Neo Tilted. And even though they were cool, if you remember actually playing in the season, those new POIs were not great for building. What people noticed right when the season started, though, is that the pump was vaulted. At the time, this was unthinkable. This was the first time we had ever lost the pump, and it got replaced with the combat shotgun. And in the beginning, the combat was very inconsistent, so Epic had to make some changes and fix it up. But by the end of it, it was actually extremely strong and probably one of the strongest shotguns of all time. I do think this season might be a little bit underrated. We got new items every single week during the summer: the proximity launcher, storm flips, chug splashes. The wind tunnels were great for movement, and you could search the map for fort bites if you wanted to do that. However, this was the start of when YouTubers started making "Is Fortnite Dying" videos, and this would continue for the next 5 years, and it still hasn't stopped, even though Fortnite is continuing to break records and have millions of average players. And this season ended with one of the most memorable live events in Fortnite history: Monster versus Mech. Anybody who didn't like the season at least liked the live event. You guys ended up rating this one mainly a 7 or 8. So this definitely can't be considered a prime season. But also looking back, there wasn't much to hate about it. This was also the season when the World Cup happened, and mid-World Cup, we got our first teaser, a picture of Dusty Depot. So we knew Fortnite was pulling out all stops for the next season, Season X. Now, Season X, and you guys know the stats for this one will be interesting. Obviously, this is one of the most controversial seasons ever with the mechs. To this day, mechs might be one of the biggest mistakes Fortnite ever pulled and caused so much hate. The pros, the content creator, the orgs, even the casuals, everyone hopped in on hating the mechs and trying to get them removed. Epic at first was ignoring it, but then they had to address it, saying that their stats showed that players actually didn't mind using the mechs. So instead of nerfing them or removing them, they started pushing out content. There was Taco Time at Greasy, Zombies in Retail Row, Borderlands was on the map, and every week there was massive updates. And at the very least, you can say this season was not stale. Tilted Towers ended up changing like 3 different times in this one season. One thing I think people forget to mention is that the Battle Pass was very weak. There are straight up 0 memorable skins from this Battle Pass, and they were all just remixes of previous Battle Pass skins. And some people do forget that Epic eventually addressed the mechs by making them spawn in later in the game, and they were a lot weaker with less HP, but the damage was already done. There was a few things to like this season, but there was a lot to dislike. And overall, this is by far the most split poll, averaging out at around 6, with a lot of people giving it a 1 out of 10. But also there were a ton of 8s, 9s, and 10s. Probably one of the most difficult seasons to assess. So I definitely don't think this is a prime season. But after all this craziness, it was time for a reset with the Black Hole taking us into Chapter 2, Season 1. We got a whole new map, fishing, carrying knock players, and a ton of weapon changes and quality of life features. It was a fresh start, and Epic said they wanted to reset Fortnite and slow the pace down. Now, with all the craziness we just experienced in Season X, this was definitely a step back in time to the early days of Fortnite, especially when it came to gunplay. We had our basic weapons, our AR, shotgun, SMG, gray to legendary rarity. No crazy weapons, no crazy items, no movement either. And very quickly, that kind of became a problem, because one of the biggest things about this season is the only update that actually happened was the addition of the harpoon gun. Now, I've definitely clowned on them a lot for not adding more to this season, but actually looking back, there were some other updates, but they weren't that memorable, even though at the time they were kind of fun. We had the Fort Nightmares event with the Storm King boss, and they should definitely do that again. We also had the Star Wars event, which was more of a commercial for Star Wars. And if you weren't a fan of Star Wars, it didn't really hit. Honestly, there was more hype for the Kraken events, if you guys actually remember that, than there was for the Star Wars event. But guys, I almost forgot something huge. This was the season when we first got the Winterfest cabin. This was a massive win for the community. Fortnite giving us some free cosmetics for Winterfest, and a lot of people really appreciated that. The season had some content, but the issue was that Fortnite announced that next season was getting delayed, and this became the longest season of all time. And there was really nothing to do. You guys ended up rating this one a 7, which in my opinion is very generous. I actually hate this season more than Season X, but that's because I'm a content creator and there was not enough content. A lot of my friends ended up quitting the game during this season and moving on to other games due to the lack of content. So for me, I definitely have a much lower rating. But now we move on to Chapter 2, Season 2. Many people consider this Fortnite's second prime. Probably one of the best battle passes we've ever gotten. The agency, the shark, the yacht, great, fantastic additions to the map. People didn't know that they even wanted bosses and NPCs and mythic weapons, but this season introduced all of that. I think the reason the battle pass is so iconic is because these skins were the first bosses we got in Fortnite. This season was also packed with love and care. We had the Deadpool hidden area in the lobby. We had story Easter eggs all around the map, and the entire Ghost versus Shadow minigame LTM as well. Fortnite put so much effort into this season across the board. The gunplay was also very fun, especially if you were on controller, and this was the season when I did my controller series. Not to mention, we got a banger final event. Midas wanted to take control of the storm, but caused so much energy that it sent us into that office where we met Agent Jones. This was a groundbreaking moment for us. We finally got a really good look into the Fortnite story, and a lot of casual people started getting interested in the story after this event. There was a ton to like, but just like the previous season, this season also had major delays, and it was massively extended. In the later half of this season, there wasn't really much going on. But for most people, that didn't matter. This season was just so much fun. They didn't mind playing more games with their friends. I mean, this was peak lockdown where everyone was on grinding Fortnite 24/7. And I almost forgot, we got one of the best live events and the best concert of all time, the Travis Scott events. This season received the strongest 10 out of 10 so far, but there's heavy competition coming in soon. Let's see how it holds up. Because water is about to flood the map in Fortnite Season 3. And every single week, the water would lower, giving us more of the map to play with. We got rideable sharks, some sick new POIs with more mythic bosses and items, and again, Epic tried vaulting the pump shotgun. They replaced it with the charge shotgun, and while some people thought it was pretty clunky, becoming a very skilled weapon. This was also the season where they added cars. That was a massive update day. I know now that cars have a lot of hatred because of this most recent season, but when they came out, they didn't have turrets and guns on them. They were just a great way to move around the map, and it really changed up the pacing of Fortnite. And with Unreal Engine getting better and better, Fortnite would start experimenting with new features in Fortnite that they added in Unreal Engine. For example, we got fire this season with the flare gun, which added a whole new dynamic to the game. One thing though a lot of people forget about this season and even the previous season is that there were a ton of bots in the matches. It was actually really hard to find just 10 real players in your game. And while it was fun to fly around the map with the shockwave launcher, you never really got to fight a lot of real players. And people did start complaining about this, including myself. That doesn't change the fact though that this season was packed with content, and it was actually very short, only 70 days long. It was so short that you probably forgot Marauders were a thing this season, and people did not like Marauders, but they didn't stick around long enough for people to hate them that much. I think honestly this season kind of gets forgotten in history because it's surrounded by 2 banger seasons, but in my eyes it was not a bad season at all, and you guys rated it an 8 or 9, which still extends Fortnite's second prime into the next season. Fortnite Season 4, the Marvel season. I knew this one was going to be popular, but I just didn't know how popular. This season probably had the most content out of any season. First of all, another very iconic battle pass. I mean, literally iconic characters in the battle pass. You can't top it. We got an insane amount of Marvel mythics that were very well executed. There were new ones every single week, and some were insane and others weren't, but they were all extremely fun to use. Then Fortnite drops the biggest mid-season update, Tony Stark's Industries. It was a brand new biome on the map. There were also ships that landed that you could get loot from, and pumps were also back, and you could get them easily from the Stark chest. So people were playing Arena non-stop, dropping at Stark's Industries. And another part of the season that some people forget because it was just so stacked was Fort Nightmares came out and lets you respawn as a ghost on the map. This was all happening in season 4. Then we got another all-time event, the Galactus event. In my opinion, though, the lead up was maybe a little bit cooler than the actual event, but it was still Fortnite's peak player count ever with 16 million concurrent players. There wasn't much to dislike about this season, and you guys gave it a strong 10 as well, and I couldn't agree more. These last 3 seasons were definitely Fortnite's second prime. Unfortunately, though, it comes to an end with the next season, Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 5. Now listen, this wasn't a bad season at all. We had a whole new sand biome. We got the introduction of exotic weapons and the gold system, which has stuck around to this day, and a ton of new excellent weapons. However, this season they did end up vaulting the pump shotgun again for the lever shotgun. And the only person who I know that likes the lever shotgun is Nick 830. So if you weren't him, most people thought it was just too inaccurate and weak. The 0 point would bring in new collabs and exotics to the game every single week, so there was still a ton of content. It's just that without the pump, the gunplay felt a little bit slower and kind of clunky. Okay, so here's where you're going to see a trend. Seasons where Fortnite removed the pump consistently get rated lower. We also did end up getting another Winterfest, but I think the key thing that holds this season back was that the main feature, which was sand tunneling, had a bug where it made you invincible, so Fortnite had to remove it for pretty much the entire season. And here's another interesting thing. They also added the 0 point crystals, which were a great and very cool idea, but they were forgotten because you rarely got to use them. But it's literally the exact same thing as the skulls from Chapter 5 Season 2. So imagine how different this season would have played out if Epic just made them a lot easier to use. So with key features being disabled and no pumps, people don't remember this season that fondly. And you guys rated this one a 7, which is fair. But considering that you guys were handing out so many 10s, I think this might be slightly low. But now, you guys have been waiting for this one. Fortnite's anti-prime, Fortnite Season 6. You guys did not hold back. This started off with a pre-season story event, which I thought was okay, but didn't really hit the mark as far as live events go. We had a brand new biome, which was interesting and new, but that's really all it had going for it because building in those biomes was ridiculous. We had a ton of new content like bows, primal weapons, and crafting. It was definitely an interesting premise and there was a lot of interesting items, but for some reason, the combination of everything just was not fun. The primal shotgun was obviously OP and just broken. Competitive was fun, but the gunplay and the meta on the map it just didn't work well. And let's not forget the very forgettable mythic boots that they added, which were very hard to obtain and were completely useless. This definitely gets memed as one of the worst seasons ever, and I think you guys might have been a little bit harsh on this one with all the 1 out of 10 votes, and people ended up rating this one around a 4 out of 10, and for that, I definitely agree. But thankfully, Fortnite ends up redeeming themselves with Season 7. This one I think is quite strong. They got rid of all the primal stuff in the primal POI, and this season had some of the most creative content I've ever seen. We had the Propifier, the Gravitron, the UFOs, the Plasma Cannon, the Alien Nanite Cubes. It was like they told everyone at Epic, guys, this was our last chance to do an alien-themed season, just go crazy. And they did. They dropped the Mothership minigame, which completely changes the pace of the Battle Royale, and people loved it. We also, of course, had the signature weapon of the season, the Railgun, which was a very fun weapon. It was a little bit OP, but very memorable. This season had a ton of content and ended with a pretty fire end of season event. Unfortunately, though, we got clickbaited and the map wouldn't be completely destroyed the next season, which kind of makes us remember it a little bit differently. If this dropped during lockdown, I think people would regard this as a prime season. But since it dropped kind of in a slower paced era right after Primal, when a lot of people stopped playing, it doesn't get remembered as well. And you guys ended up rating it a 7 or 8, which I think kind of makes it underrated. I think the season's a little bit better than that. Now, if the last season was overlooked, I think this one should have maybe received even more hate. Fortnite Season 8 Cubed started off very disappointing, because when we logged in, we saw that the map had not changed at all from a very dramatic live event that just happened. There were the new sideways weapons that you could upgrade, and there were some cool new items like the armored walls, which was pretty unique, and the sideways scythe. The caretaker was a cool boss to find in the sideways, but eventually people started ignoring the sideways, and a lot of the sideways weapons were not even really used. We also had the return of Kevin. Actually, there were a lot of them rolling around the map, spreading this orange color to anything they touched. But to be honest, it was kind of an eyesore, and in my opinion, the map just did not look good. It was just a mess, especially towards the end. The cube pyramid in the center was cool, but didn't actually feel super fun to hot drop at because you couldn't farm anything and there wasn't a lot of loot there. It did have the Naruto collab, which was one of my favorite animes. But now that we've had a few anime collabs, you kind of look back and you realize that they did Naruto dirty because he did not get a decent mythic weapon. You guys ended up giving this season a 6 or 7, but to be honest, I think that's a little bit generous. I think this season could have easily been the meme bad season, but I guess not a lot of players were actually playing. This season ended with a live event, which could have been one of the coolest live events ever if it wasn't spoiled a day early by Fortnite themselves. Seeing the map literally flip in front of our eyes was absolutely crazy, and it led us into chapter 3. This, surprisingly, was Fortnite's third prime. It was a fantastic season with a brand new map themed around the 7, and it had so many things going for it to succeed. The stale Chapter 2 loot pool was refreshed with all new weapons, and there were so many great quality of life changes. The med mist, guzzle juice, and shield canisters were a nice addition. We also got sliding, which was a great movement mechanic, and of course, the main item we were all hyped for, the Spider-Man mythics. And when they came out, they were exactly what we dreamed of. It worked so well. People were saying that it worked even better than actual Spider-Man and Marvel games. We also got the introduction of victory crowns and tents. And we had Sergeant Winter rolling around the map because it was covered in ice. But as the ice melted, we started getting excited because we noticed one area looked suspiciously like tilted towers. And on one random update, we got it back in its full glory. And a few weeks later, another amazing feature was unveiled by the Snow, Klombo, and the community went crazy for him. The meta and gunplay was fun, even though I remember shotguns being slightly weak. Viewership and interest in Fortnite was at an all-time high again, and so many players had fond memories of them playing this during Fortnite Winterfest of 2021. You guys rated this season a 10, and this season is known as the third prime of Fortnite, so I definitely agree with that rating. And next up, we have Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 2, and Epic took a huge risk. They announced the beginning of the season would remove building. This was insane, but thankfully they added overshield, sprinting, and mantling into the game. It was very smartly done, and a lot of OG players who got tired of the sweaty build meta returned during this season. I also think that the blimps and cannons on them were a super fun way to move around the map. I had a ton of great fights in the blimps, and even though the season was a war-themed season, due to real-life circumstances, Fortnite was maybe a little bit hesitant to lean too much into the war stuff. We got tanks, the armored battle bus, but something tells me there was more planned that ended up getting scrapped. The initial zero build hype was awesome, but at the tail end of it, it kind of started to dry out. Thankfully, Epic ended it off with a great live event. The mech returned to save the island, and we got some cool story progression, which led absolutely nowhere. Like, it didn't lead to anything. We have no idea what happened to Jonesy or the Foundation, but overall, you guys rated this one a 7 out of 10. I would definitely say the first half of this season was definitely included in Fortnite's third prime, but as you guys can see, next season is definitely not extending it. Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 3. It was called Vibin', which had a really stylish and cool battle pass, and I liked the mindset behind the season, but for some reason, for me and a lot of players, it just didn't hit. The reality tree was a solid POI, but the rest of the new biomes wasn't anything too exciting. The guns added are notorious for being some of the worst ever. The two-shot shotgun and the charge SMG, which easily is the worst weapon ever. This season was entirely saved by some very cool collabs. We had Darth Vader in the Battle Pass, Indiana Jones, and a really sick Dragon Ball Z update with an awesome, very memorable mythic. But honestly, looking at everything else in this season, it was rough. This one, in my opinion, is just as bad as Primal, and if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z, it would be rated even lower. You guys gave this one a 6 or 7, which in my opinion is kind of generous. Ending off Chapter 3, we had the Chrome season, Season 4. This one was very hyped for me personally because I had been excitingly waiting for my icon skin. So that was a huge highlight for me. But the actual season itself wasn't my favorite. With the addition of Chrome, I liked the whole creative aspect of phasing through walls, and I think the evil Chrome weapons upgrading by doing damage was unique, but the weapons themselves were kind of mid. And looking back, most people didn't really use the Chrome that much, and the evil Chrome weapons were used even less. They also added slide kicking this season, and the battle pass was a little bit weak. Thankfully, my skin kind of saved the day. There wasn't a lot of memorable updates, and we had a very mid Fortnitemares event. But they had somewhat of a chance to redeem themselves with the end of chapter finale, because people were very hyped to find out that we were actually going to end this chapter in just 4 seasons. But the live event to end this chapter was easily the worst live event Fortnite had ever done. They hyped up the Herald as this big villain, but she ended up dying in a very quick and short cutscene, and then we ended up just doing creative quests on a weird, like, floating, objects. It felt very rushed. It was not interesting. People were scratching their head, and for the first time, I actually agreed with everyone saying that the event was terrible, and it was terrible. You guys ended up rating this one a 6, and in my opinion, that's a little bit generous. Even though my skin came out, I still think it's very generous. Fortnite was not in its prime, but thankfully, it would start to get some momentum back in Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 1. We got a whole new set of weapons and some new iconic ones. The Slap Juice, the Shockwave Hammer, the Excalibur, and it all came together with augments. And when they came out, they were super fun because getting specific ones actually allowed for some very interesting and unique gameplay styles. Some were very strong, and it felt like you were picking things that were actually useful. This season did have a ton of bugs though. There was a lot of ways to get cheesy wins, a lot of bugs that were getting abused, and some weren't getting patched because Epic was on their winter vacation. I do remember the gunplay being fun, and the main thing was how strong the Red Eye Assault Rifle was. I mean, this was back when we had hit scan, and this thing was doing 40 plus damage per bullet, and it was very, very accurate and insanely good. We also got a sick new update midway through the Heisted event, which brought in tons of exotics and was an excellent refresh for the season. I think the season was a pretty solid Season 1, and you guys ended up rating it a 7 or 8. So maybe not a prime, but it was definitely a good start to the chapter. And thankfully, we had a new season to get excited for. Season 2 Mega. This season started off hot. We got a huge POI, Mega City, the biggest POI we have ever seen. We had the addition of the grind rails. Fighting in this POI felt like an actual movie. A bunch of new themed POIs around the map, combat caches, and the floating island returning as a mid-game objective. A throwback to the floating island from Chapter 1. We also got some iconic items, the Havoc Shotgun, the Kinetic Blade, which was a simple yet amazing movement item. However, the augments were not the best, and picking augments became more of a chore this season than it did last season. And the other thing were the slurps. These things were strong, and they were everywhere. I loved them at first, but very quickly started hating them because anytime you cracked somebody or you had somebody weak, it would just pop a slurp and you would feel like you were fighting Thanos. However, we did get a sick collab with Attack on Titan and a very, very good addition of the ODM gear. This was one of the best movement items and one of the best collab items they had ever added. And even though they had done Star Wars collabs in the past, the Star Wars collab this season was probably my favorite with the addition of the Force powers. This was also the season Ranked came out, which was a huge W. While it hasn't been perfect, it was definitely a huge upgrade to Arena, which was just mindless W King. Oh, and another small thing. UEFN got announced, and it brought a lot of hype to the future of Fortnite, which we are now seeing play out. The season had a sick theme, and it was packed with content, but not a lot of it was necessarily themed around the season. The lock-on pistol was the only futuristic item they really added. The augments and the gunplay were fun, but not super balanced, and I feel like this season had a lot of the ingredients to be a prime Fortnite season, but I remember the player base and the interest around the game just not being there. You guys ended up rating this one an 8, which I think is fair. I do see a lot of people have fond memories of this season. So far, Chapter 4 is off to a promising start, but let's see how things go in Season 3 Wilds. This one is an interesting one. The jungle was a very unique idea, and it actually did feel fun to run around and slide through the mud. It was an interesting area to play in, especially discovering the jungle vaults and the little like puzzles you had to unlock. That was actually very cool, but most of the items fell flat. We went from the shockwave hammer and kinetic blade to the kinetic boomerang, which was unfortunately completely useless. The loot pool was also awful. We had the drum shotgun, the flapjack rifle, which was very strong, and a bunch of useless items like the wasp jars and the thermal DMR and the cloak gauntlets. Then they brought the MK Alpha, which was the MK7, but worse. And then the sharp tooth shotgun, which is still one of the weirdest items ever. They just reskinned the pump and called it the sharp tooth, but gave it completely different stats and gameplay mechanics. But thankfully, the mammoth pistol was actually a banger. It was a very sick item and felt very satisfying to use. The augments were now even more useless than last season. The season's gunplay was just not fun. And while the jungle biome was a cool idea, it sucked that it was sunken into the ground and it wasn't the greatest place to build around. And it didn't help when Fortnite added the worst event ever, the summer event of 2023, where they just threw a mural on the wall and unvaulted a couple of items. You guys rated the season a 5 out of 10, but there was a ton of you who gave it a 1 out of 10. Honestly, I agree. This one's up there with being one of the worst seasons of all time. And here's where I start to notice a pattern. Think back to all the seasons so far that were rated poorly. Season X, Primal season, then the Cube season, the Chrome season, Wilds, and even the current season, Wrecked. I noticed something. Almost all of them feel messy. I'm not talking about the soccer player. I'm talking about the actual look and aesthetic of the season. They are all visually unappealing or harsh. In Season 6, you're in a primitive orange forest with clunky guns and POIs, or the cube corruption is spreading everywhere, making things look dark and gross. Or the chrome sucking the color out of the season, or the jungle that is full of mud and making you play with old-timey weapons. And now we have the harsh sand making the map feel inhospitable. But some of the most fun seasons that were rated the highest, like Chapter 2 Season 2, have a clean aesthetic, bright colors. The map looks fun and welcoming, and the guns feel responsive. I do think that the visual aesthetic and theme that they pick for a season plays a huge critical role in how the players receive it, and the dirty, messier, darker themes rarely work out well for them. But anyways, enough yapping, because now we need to go into Season 4. It's time for a clean aesthetic. Last Resort. This one was a banger, and I know bangers. I would consider this the start of the fourth prime of Fortnite, and it would run for the next 2 seasons. 3 new vault POIs around the map with bosses, mythics, and key cards. I mean, come on. This is definitely a throwback to Chapter 2 Season 2. We also got some sick new items like the Rocket Ram, the Crash Pad Jr., and the briefcase, which were kind of useless, but also fun for memes. But in the vaults, you got to pick some of the unvaulted mythics, which we haven't seen in a long time. This was a really great idea. We had a ton of fun this season. A lot of friends hopped on to play. The gunplay was fun, even though the twin bag was very OP. I personally enjoyed it. The augments, though, were still very mid, sadly. But at this point, people stopped even using them. We got introduced to a cool villain, Kato Thorn, and he brought a vampire-themed Fort Nightmares with the wood stake shotgun, and he was a pretty sick boss to fight. And overall, this battle pass was pretty good. The season was short, sweet, and I remember the player base absolutely loving it. You guys rated this one only an 8, but I think we'll look back at this one fondly as time passes. Then we got an announcement. We thought, no way. They announced Kato's time machine would bring us back in time to the old Fortnite map for Fortnite OG. All those videos I made about the map returning finally come to life. The player base exploded. Every week, a new season worth of content would be unvaulted to keep things fresh. And the content this season was mostly just playing with your friends. This was a genius idea from Fortnite that they had in their back pocket the entire time. The only thing that would have made it even better is if they went back to the old sound effects and some of the old aesthetics and weapon models and made everything really look OG. But that's just more of a personal touch. And did we ever get an answer as to why the main Tilted Towers building was not there? Was that just a mistake? But either ways, you guys still gave this season a solid 10 with almost no one voting anything other than a 10. We got a pretty cool live event teasing all the new modes Fortnite dropped. And I do wish that the M&M live event was a little bit longer. And all this hype and momentum carried into Fortnite Chapter 5. We had a secret society theme with Peter Griffin finally coming to the game. We got more bosses, vaults, and instead of key cards, we got medallions, which instantly became an iconic feature. And Fortnite did away with the augments. Brand new map, and to be honest, I love this map compared to Chapter 4. The train is cool. We got a ton of new weapons, weapon attachments, which was something we have been waiting on for a while, and they pulled it off in a smart way. But unfortunately, the main thing people were talking about was the movement change. Fortnite ended up tweaking the movement bit by bit, but looking back, I think it's safe to say the pros were overreacting just a little bit. But the content never stopped. We got Fortnite Lego, Fortnite Festival, and Rocket Racing all back to back. These modes were pretty well done. I just wish Lego came out in a bit more of a finished state with a little bit more content. But for the week I played Lego, I was hooked and it was a ton of fun. The gunplay was also a lot of fun. Other than the Frenzy auto shotgun, there were so many players playing, and I think this is clearly still in Fortnite's 4th prime. And we were very excited for the next season because it was Greek mythology, something that we had been waiting on for a long time, and it was teased with a series of insane mini live events. They were putting a ton of effort into this, so we knew it was going to be crazy. Let's see if Fortnite can continue its 4th prime in Chapter 5 Season 2. This started off with a massive delay due to some sort of bug, but when we hopped on, we were hyped. There were 2 huge new biomes, the Underworld and Mount Olympus, and they were so very well done. The Zeus Mythic and the Wings of Icarus felt insane to use for the first time. There were new medallions which were cool, and you could challenge the bosses for them. We were on track for a legendary season. But instead of carrying the interest that came from the last season, it kind of started to die down. I think the season had so much potential. The theme was sick, the teasers were great, but imagine if this season was like the Marvel season with an insane amount of mythic powers for all the different Greek gods. There could have been a ton of Greek god powers that they added every single week, but instead all we got were the Chains of Hades, which were fun, but it was the only one. And it felt like the season ran out of content quickly. And looking back, the season wasn't as memorable as it should have been. This had the potential to be an all-time season, but you guys ended up rating it a 7 out of 10, which I also agree with. And now for the most controversial season since Season X. Season 3 wrecked. This also had a ton of sick teasers getting us excited for it. But on release, people started freaking out. We got a giant sand biome with car upgrades, and personally think that the idea that they were going for was executed perfectly because every fight felt like a movie and upgrading your car was fun, and even using the Nitro Fist was extremely fun, but not everybody enjoyed it. Basically what it came down to is whether you enjoy driving around in the cars or not, and it really split the community in half. Thankfully, though, this season's saving grace is Fortnite Reload, because if you don't want to play with the cars, Fortnite Reload removes all of that. It takes it back to its core Fortnite mechanics, a very clean Chapter 1 remix map with a very clean loot pool. Now, we still have over a month left of this season, and there are a ton of content updates planned, but Epic's gonna have to do a lot of dramatic stuff for people to remember this season in a good light. This season received a lot of 1 out of 10s, but the rest of you are giving it a 5, 6, or 7, which makes sense. So it's safe to say this season was not one of Fortnite's prime. And after all these seasons, Fortnite's prime seems kind of hard to figure out. There were a lot of seasons that you guys rated 10s, and there was a lot of streaks where Fortnite was doing an amazing job back to back to back. But to finally answer it, I had a couple other questions I asked you. Specifically, if you had to pick only one, what was your favorite season ever? And the answer was very surprising. One season had more votes than any other season by far. More votes than all of Fortnite Chapter 1 seasons combined, with 26.7% of all first place votes. Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2. And coming in second with 16.5% of the votes, it's Chapter 2 Season 4. It's such a massive difference when you compare it to anything else. Chapter 3 Season 1 had a respectable 3rd place, but the results speak for themselves. I also asked you guys if you were a comp or casual player and what year you started playing Fortnite. And no matter what, even the OGs agreed that Chapter 2 Season 2 is the clear number 1. So especially with Season 4 being such a favorite and coming in second, it seems like Fortnite's prime was Chapter 2 Season 2, Season 3, and Season 4. And to be honest, that's an answer that I'm kind of happy with. I will always love Chapter 1, but you guys were loud and clear. And while initially I wasn't as excited about the return of Chapter 2 OG, making this video actually got me excited. And of course, I will be there, and I hope you will too. Thank you guys so much for watching.
30% off merch at experiences you'll never forget with Chase Freedom Unlimited.
Last year, I broke Laserbeam's most famous Fortnite records, but he took them back.
Cypher, you've been defeated!
Have I? Because today I'm taking back 7 of my Fortnite records. Some that you broke, some that you might not expect, and one final one that I personally want you to stick around for, Laserbeam. We'll start with the record for the most eliminations in a Fortnite match. Laserbeam set an impressive 371 with the help of aid, but I've got a plan. All right, guys, we're gonna break the world record for most eliminations in a reload match. Here we go. I'm gonna build a platform right here. See, the thing is, they had 40 players drop on Laserbeam in teams. One player would stay alive and he would eliminate the others to farm them up for kills. But there's always a way to work smarter, not harder. All right, guys. I'm just gonna tag you, jump, tag you, jump, tag you, jump. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Everybody go, everybody go. Make sure you guys are bleeding out. Once you get tagged, jump off. Once you get tagged, jump off. And if you guys can spread out, that's even better for me. By just tagging them once and letting fall damage do the rest, this makes the eliminations much faster. But is it gonna be enough? I'm going crazy here. I'm not missing a shot. I'm not missing a shot. I'm tagging you guys. Either jump, 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 jump. I don't remember us doing it this fast. I do not remember us doing this fast. I feel like this is extremely fast. As I get these kills, you might be wondering why Laserbeam decided to take these back. Well, this small YouTuber has been trying to get my attention for months. He commented on every single short that I posted, made dozens of videos, and even stalked me in real life. I was gonna keep ignoring him, but then he flew out to Laserbeam to break my records with him. So it's time to put little bro in his place. All right, guys, tag, go, 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 go. As soon as you take some damage, go. How's the circle looking? How's the circle looking? Go, 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 go. Jump off, jump off, jump off. This is perfect. This is perfect. Bro, this is actually so good. The organization right now is insane. It's insane. Come on. Red team, can you guys just tarp us into storm? Like go up and into circle. And you guys need to just like move where like underneath where I'm at. This is perfect. This is perfect. Bro, this is actually working so well. I'm already at 172. I think we're gonna set like an unbeatable record. This is the most organized I've seen you guys. I'm so proud. We have circle. We have next circle as well. This is brilliant. Let's move up a little bit, just a little bit. Go. Some of you need to go. Oh my God, I almost fell off. I'm at 300 eliminations right now. Guys, we're about to beat the record. Go. Jump. Guys, we're at 340. Come on. We got to beat the record. Guys, we're at 350. Go. If you get tagged, you got to go. We're beating this so easily. If you get tagged, jump. Guys, we beat the record, but we can keep doing. We can keep going higher. I'm getting sniped at, man. If you get tagged, jump. Go. Jump off. This is going to be so hard to beat. We got so lucky with circles. Beautiful. You guys were amazing. One more. The final person. A record that will be nearly impossible to beat. 418 eliminations in Fortnite Reload. A new world record has been set. Let's go. That's 1 out of 7 taken back from Aid and Laserbeam. And next is one that's much harder. The longest elimination in a Fortnite match. Aid set the record by getting 7,688 meters, which took him hours, and this is what he had to say.
Cypher PK, take that, little bro. I would like to see you try to beat that record.
All right, I will. But I have a different method I want to try. My plan is to damage a player and then fly super far away and then get the player to die to a gas explosion, which should set the record for me. All right, we're going for world record longest elimination, and we're not doing the strat that Aid did, which is disconnecting the internet. We're doing it legit using the train car flip strategy. You have to just drive into the train and have the train kind of flip your car a little bit. And I can't believe Fortnite has not fixed this after all these years. So you just drive into the train. Hold up. I might have got it to work, bro. Yeah. The car's definitely glitched. The car is very glitched. All right. Here we go, guys. Attempt number 1. The goal is 7,688 meters. All right, I'm dead, dude. I'm dead. I died so fast. It cooked up so hard, bro. Okay, it didn't work. But now for attempt number 2. We got a world record to break. All right. The truck is definitely glitched. All right, the timer starts. We have a 60-second timer. Once I hit Jack, he's gonna go straight to the gas station. 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm gonna try to take flight with this truck that should be bugged. I'm gonna hit it one time, jump in. 3, 2, 1, jumping in. It's not bugged, bro. Okay, no, for real. Attempt number 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 went just as bad. Oh man, it stole my car. So it's time to switch strats. If we can't outthink Aid, it might be time to outwork him. All right, this is our next strategy. We're going to be disconnecting our Wi-Fi right as we get boosted up by this geyser. It's supposed to let me keep flying infinitely up in the air. So I'm going to wait for this one to come up. This is Aid's strategy that he used. However, it is extremely tough to pull off, and I'll show you why. I'm alt-tabbing. I'm about to turn on airplane mode right as I start flying. Turned off the Wi-Fi. Now, here's the thing. You only get 60 seconds for the kill to auto count as your elimination. If I reconnect my internet too late, my Wi-Fi won't be on in time, and the kill information won't be sent fast enough, so it ends up looking like this. We're about to be 7,000 meters right now. I'm reconnecting. Yeah, it took a while for me to reconnect, bro. But if I reconnect it too soon, I won't get high enough, and here's what's worse. The game automatically kicks you after 8,000 meters. It kicked me out of the game, bro. So I only have a half a second window to be in the air and receive the elimination before the game realizes I'm way too high up. 6,000 meters, 7,000 meters. I'm about to reconnect to the Wi-Fi right now. All right, Jack, eliminate yourself. Eliminate yourself. I mean, I'm definitely like over 8,000 meters up in the air, but it did not show in the kill feed. All right, we got to tighten up the timing just a little bit. We went over 60 seconds in the last one. All right, I damaged Jack. Getting in position. Turned off the Wi-Fi as I'm flying up. 100 meters. This is coming down to the wire because the kill credit will not count. Turning on my Wi-Fi. Go, go, go. I'm not gonna lie, Aid, you did a decent job with this one. You made it a little bit hard, but I feel like this is gonna be a very, very broken record. Here we go. Here we go. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. We have to be at 8K. 133 meter explosion. Why? All right. All right. That was really good timing. I'm almost reconnected. 754 meters. All right. I'm on. Wi-Fi's off. We got the timing down to a science. This is going to be nearly impossible. It's going to be almost impossible to beat. Give it a sec. 8,000 meters. It kicked me out again. It kicked me out. But eventually, using a stopwatch and precise timing, I started reconnecting my internet exactly after 43.4 seconds after I hit Jack. Don't die yet. Die, 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 die. 7,625 meters. Okay, okay. I understand it now. I understand it now. But it still wasn't easy. Aid's record was very hard to beat. I'm at 7,000. Don't die yet. Don't die yet. Now. It kicked me out. It kicked me out, bro. Wi-Fi's off. Reconnecting. I'm still not above it. Not yet. We're too short. It literally is going to come down to the wire. Aid made it challenging, but not impossible. But what I'm about to do is make it impossible. Reconnected. Hold up. Don't die yet. You can die. You can die right now. Come on. 7,000. Oh, dude, it was at 7.8. We're short 6 meters. Are you kidding me? The attempts were so close. It took 2 hours, but eventually we had it down to a science. All right. Good timing, good everything. We're flying up in the air. This is it. All right, 2,500, 3,000. All right, I'm at 7,000, 73, 75, 76, 77, 8,000. Go. 7,886 meters. Let's go. Come on, Aid. I thought you said I couldn't break that record. Try to beat that. There we go. That is 2 out of 7 done. Now it's time for another record that Aid and Laserbeam set. The longest snipe in Fortnite history. Laserbeam had set this record back in the day until I broke it last year. But Aid used UEFN to get a crazy total. 4,097,577 meter snipe, which is the maximum distance from one edge of the entire Fortnite creative to the other edge. This is the absolute max. You can technically not make anything bigger than this distance unless. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to stick my target with the boom sniper, and I'm going to use the purple remote to teleport to the furthest corner of this map. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I cannot even go any further. If I exit out of this range, I am no longer in the game and the match pretty much ceases to work. My target is going to use the green remote and teleport to the very opposite corner, the maximum distance we can be away from each other. Let's see how many meters that really is. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Teleported. And we have managed to tie with 4,097,577 meters. But is that the maximum? Is there not a way that we can squeeze just a little bit more so that we technically beat your record? Well, we might have found a way. You see, there's a chair right here on the purple corner. And if I interact with this chair, I am no longer in the bounds of the match. But technically, I will be just slightly, maybe half a meter further away from the world record elimination. And to me, I'm going to count that as being further than your record, Aid. But it's a little tricky because I have to time it right. I have to wait right as the explosion is about to go off before sitting in the chair, or the elimination won't even count. Before I shoot my target, I want to give a shout out to Alex Popblock, who helped discover this chair strategy so that we can break the record for the longest sniper elimination. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, I have beaten the record on a technicality, but I will count it. We thought outside of the box, and we have a lot more records to beat. Aid, I'm sorry, man. I got to do this to you. That's 3 out of 7 done. And remember, Laserbeam, I have a finale saved for you that you're definitely not going to want to miss. Now on to another famous record, the record for the fastest death in Fortnite history. This is a record that has been traded back and forth. Aid in his video broke my record by landing on the tallest point of the Chapter 5 map and jumping off for an impressive 14.26 seconds. Now, I thought this would be impossible since the Chapter 6 map has a battle bus which is much higher and you just spend too much time diving down. But then I remembered something he said in his video.
Because days later, in one of your videos, you reacted to a little kid beating your record.
Aid called him a little kid. Bro, I could say the same about you. His name is Music, and he was the one who came up with the strat Aid used. And instead of shouting him out, Aid used him as a joke. So a couple days later, I got a message from Music. He said he saw Aid's video and actually figured out a genius strategy to beat it. It could be possible to beat 14.26 because one of the reload maps has an unusual low bus path, but no one ever considered reload because you just respawn. It wouldn't be a true full and final death. His idea was to queue into duos as a solo, which in theory could create the recipe for an earth-shattering fastest death ever. All right, we're going for world's fastest reload death. This is attempt number 1. I'm thinking my only option here is the top of the little tree building in Lonely Lodge. Count right now. The 17 seconds, I'm going straight down. I think if I spam space, I can just roll off the top of this. That's way too slow. That is way too slow. We go again. We go again. I got to get this perfect. But we're diving in. It was like 7 seconds when I hopped out. I'm going to go as low as I can. I just need to get to the very, very top right. I don't know about that. I didn't even die. I didn't even die. Absolutely need to get this right. Absolutely need to get this perfect. All right, there we go. Timer starts. Dive, dive, dive. Gonna bunny hop off the top right here. That was actually pretty good. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I clipped the edge so I didn't die. All right, the map changed to Oasis. Let's see, 3, 2, 1, jump. I think it's not gonna be possible on Oasis. Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, I'm in a squad. This is a good one. This is a really good one. All right, guys, the bus path is perfect. This is I've been blessed with a bus path. This could be an under 10-second fastest death in Fortnite. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Straight down. Straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down. Oh, that was so good. Oh, that was so good. Oh, that was so good. That has to be the world record. That has to be the world record. Oh my God. 9.59 seconds. That was perfect. The fastest death in Fortnite history, ladies and gentlemen. Another record down. 4 out of 7 done. And now my next record is one for the largest structure ever built in a Fortnite match. I still hold this record, and I've heard that Aid has wanted to break it. So let's make this completely out of reach. Guys, everybody land around brutal boxcars, but I need you to spread out. I'm talking flooded frogs, resistance space, lone wolf lair. I need you guys to farm up, get 500 wood, 500 brick, 500 metal. We have 100 people. We need people to spread out as quickly as possible. All right, guys. So we're actually going to do 32 by 32 and then go as tall as we possibly can. So guys, you guys need to build like a cone, 3 walls up like this, and then jump up and do another cone and then another 3 walls. This is going to be the most efficient way to place these builds down while using the least amount of materials and covering the most amount of ground. Like I'm already using almost all my wood. So it's going to be, it's still a lot of materials being used just to get this going. Hold up, guys. To the right. We have a little bit of a misstep. You guys are... So everybody in that area, you guys need to push your thing back 1 step. So this is the structure. These are the corners right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna drop down real quick. So I'm just gonna keep building. All right, guys. I see the structure. This is actually insane. Someone is using shockwaves or a jetpack to just go straight up in the air. That's smart. That's smart. All right, guys. Right now I'm project managing right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm project managing. But this is looking really good. Whoever that is, bro, overachiever, bro. Oh, this is insane. This is actually insane. Incredible, dude. It's actually lagging so hard right now. Guys, we might end up in storm. We might end up in storm. I'm not gonna lie. We might end up in storm, but it's still doable. I gotta build faster, man. I gotta build faster. I'm worried about like taking fall damage, but I just gotta build faster. We might crash the servers. 2 people just fell to their death, guys. But this is actually crazy. How close are we to max? We definitely are gonna have to do a refarm. How am I supposed to get down from here? Oh no, I should have grabbed something to get me down. Oh, this guy got me a jetpack. What an absolute legend. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Max height is actually insanely high, bro. I think we have to close it. We have to close it like sooner. All right. I'm building out the floor. I'm showing what height we want to close this off. Anything above this, we will chop. This is gonna be the floor. We have to be quick here. I'm gonna go refarm. The goal here is we gotta just close it out. We gotta close it out and then patch any of the holes. It's still gonna be a 1 tick because this is the largest structure ever. It is so laggy. I'm gonna go farm. Dude, this is crazy from down here, bro. Make sure you have some white health or something to keep you in the storm. I have a little water sprite. All right, I need to get up. Low key, guys, just if you need to die, make sure you're dying somewhere where people can grab your materials. We need to just close it, guys. Let's close it and patch it. All right, I'm gonna use the jetpack here. I'm gonna go up. I'm patching this wall right now. Oh, let's go. Patch it. Oh, dude, that's actually clutch. Everyone's healing together over there. All right, we almost have the roof done. I'm about to throw down a water sprite on me. Still a 1 tick. Hopefully it stays 1 tick. Beautiful. All right, guys, the roof is almost complete, but we need to check the walls on the inside. Let's finish the roof. Guys, if you're gonna die, make sure you die near people so that they can grab your materials. Bro, this is actually the most massive structure in Fortnite history. Yeah, let's finish this. I'm throwing down this water sprite on me. Let's throw another one down. It's a 2 tick now. It's a 2 tick. Grab materials, guys. Grab materials and go down and finish out any patches. It all comes down to this, guys. I'm patching it up. I'm out of mats, man. I'm going for the water sprites. Thank you. Okay. I'm going. Come on, guys. We got to finish this. We'll stop at the edge right here and then water sprite again, okay? Oh, people are going down. Okay, we're chilling. One more. Okay, I'm full health, full shield. I'm going down. I'm gonna start building the structure here. Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is looking tough. We need to finish this. Build. It's a 5 tick. I went down, bro. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the world record for the biggest structure in Fortnite. 32 by 32 by 35 stories high. We did it. 100 players, all these builds against all odds, and there it is. Now, there's a couple other records Aid chose, which unfortunately some, like the trick score record, aren't beatable this season due to there being literally no way to get trick score. But we've got 5 out of 7 so far, but there's still a couple more we can do. Next up, we're gonna be tackling another record from Aid, the most V-Bucks on one Fortnite account. It used to be possible to get 1 million or more, but when I tried to break the record, I realized Epic had set a hard cap at around 200,000 V-Bucks, and it just won't let you, for legal reasons, go any higher. So now let me talk to Aid personally here. You went out to break my record, and okay, bro spent thousands of dollars and did a bunch of stuff to get to 220,000 V-Bucks, but that's not even the record I ever claimed. Here's my real record, the record I actually think is impressive. The most V-Bucks ever purchased. I made a whole video about this, but through my rare accounts, my giveaways, my videos, I have bought over 8.8 million V-Bucks throughout the last 7 years, which is over $60,000 US. So, Aid, That's my real record. And if you want to go out and spend $60,000 just to break my record, take it, man. It's all yours. But until then, take a seat, because I have one more record that I'm going to try and beat. For this final record, I plan to break the most amount of eliminations in a creative match. Laserbeam had initially set this record, and then I broke it at 37,000 eliminations. But then he made a short where he got 93,846 elims. But we have devised a new strategy, because the main issue that you have is that while you're doing this record, you can only be in a creative match for 4 hours. So there is always a time limit, but we never even get close to reaching the time limit, because eventually the game just crashes. And once you crash, you lose your eliminations and you have to restart. So Laserbeam tried time and time again. He was able to get 93,846, but we devised a new strategy. We are doing less players this time, only 14. We have a quick respawn system to farm them. I'm already at 1,200 eliminations. But here's the thing. We're going to actually have a pause button where I can stop the eliminations and let the servers catch up. And once they catch up, I can start it again. What this does is it kind of slows things down a little bit, and it prevents buildup of lag to the point where I'm going to crash my game. So with this pause button, with our new fast respawn system and these lovely participants, I should be able to break the world's record for most eliminations in a creative match, which is currently 93,846. I'm going for 100,000. I'm already at 2,000 eliminations. Like I said, it's very, very, very fast. That's so satisfying. But we're just chilling. We're just vibing right now. All right, let's hit a pause here at 15K. Hold on, we need a pause right now. We need a pause right now. It was looking a little sus there, right? I'm not gonna lie, chat. It's getting a little shaky. All right, guys, we're at 20,000 eliminations. I don't know, chat. All right, guys, we're at 25,000 eliminations. All right, guys, this might be beatable. This might actually be beatable here. All right, guys, we're at 37,000 eliminations. This was the record that we set. We're gonna go even further beyond. How long is it gonna take to hit 100K? From where we're at right now, it's gonna take probably another 45 minutes. We're on our way. We're not close yet, but we're on our way. Laserbeam's gonna get 500,000 eliminations. I don't know. Oh no. Oh no. Pause. All right. That was a little scary, bro. We had a little bit of a hiccup at 45K. Is everyone good? Everyone good? All right, resume. That was almost devastating. What is this stream, bro? Don't worry about it, bro. If this is not your cup of tea, come back tomorrow. All right, 47K. Let's have everything catch up here. We're halfway to our goal, which is 100,000. My goal is 100,000 eliminations. 50,000 eliminations. Let's go. Halfway there. Come on. Never back down. Never what? The servers are trembling right now. They're trembling. The record to break is 93,846. Am I streaming this PlayStation? Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we tried to break the record. We made it a little over halfway, but Fortnite has crashed. Oh my God, no, bro. I guess this is the one record that will remain in Mr. Laserbeam's hand. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Next professional maker.
Today, I want to play 5 Fortnite tournaments